Okay, people, just keeping it on the real here, right? It's like December 3rd, 2017. What I've done is I took the time to read what this law firm sent me. And I penciled in a response. Can you see? Right. Now, my first thought when I read this, like when I got it, I skimmed through it. And I could see right off the hop that basically the law firm that represents Fraser Health is relying on court rules to throw it out. Which I've already established, but now that I've actually sat down and I read these court cases that they put down in reference to why I didn't follow the rules. I'm boiling water. I'm making a coffee for myself here. If Uncle John was with me, he'd have one too. But, so I hear the water boiling. I'll be right back. Hold on. Okay, I'm already spilling coffee on it. Can you see? Watermarks. This is what I'm going to go to court with. Because I got to imagine what it would be like to be a lawyer having this verbal debate. Because I see a verbal debate here, people. And the verbal debate is they've already won based on the fact that I didn't follow the rules as they list particular court cases and judgments to prove that fact, as they continue to suggest that I'm being frivolous and scandalous and that now they're the victims, right? I'll just read randomly one or two. Hold on. You ready? Okay. This is number 12 on their list of points of reference. You ready? You have to remember, people, I'm working with a 40 to a 50 psi in my eyesight, right? In terms of my glaucoma. So every now and then, right, with the change of the light, you know, my eyes, they go like this, right? It's been getting kind of worse, but a hospital owes a duty of care to his patient. A hospital owes a duty of care to its patient, not the patient's friends or family. In BD litigation guardian of versus Halton Region Children's Aid Society, OJ number 6196, SCG at Paris, paragraphs, I guess, 18 to 21, Justice Hoylett referred to various decisions which confirmed, for example, that a physician who provides care to a child owes a duty of care to the child and not the child's parents. Now, don't you think that would be... actually, you know what? That's the first time I read that in full. First of all, what really stands out to me, people, as they're bringing in social services, right? In terms of, you take a child to the doctor says this, the doctor takes the precedent over the parent or the guardian, basically. Litigation guardian of versus. So somebody took Halton Region Children's Aid Society to court, and I guess this Justice Hoylett referred to various decisions which confirm, for example, that a physician who provides care to a child owes a duty of care to the child and not the child parents. Okay. So, in their first letter of reference to me regarding this matter, they said the same thing, but they didn't pull out a court case, right? To say that their obligation is to John and nobody else. Even though John told them, talk to Judy. Judy has the power of attorney. Talk to Judy. tell Judy what's going on. Give Judy my medical records. Let Judy know what's going on. Talk to Judy. Because Judy would talk to John. And then John and Judy would make a decision. Versus he didn't have a decision once they took over that right. So in this case, it would be the same thing, right? If the doctor says John is confused and shouldn't talk to Judy because it makes him more confused, therefore the doctor becomes the leading master, dictator, parent of John, to make that decision in terms of you can't talk to Judy no more because talking to Judy is not good for you, John. You're not better yet, John, so no, you can't talk to Judy, and no, you can't talk to the kids. Because the doctor said so. Okay? Anyway, my response? Why then allow nepotism? Because the first sentence, a hospital owes a duty of care to its patients, not the patient's friends or family. And then they go on to proceed to show the doctor has more say than the parent. And that gives Child Protective Service organization to come in and take that child if the child disagrees with the parent. I mean, if the parent disagrees with the doctor. And it says the hospital owes a duty of care to its patient, not the patient's friends or family. First of all, Uncle John's immediate family was not friends. We were his immediate family of 23 years, people. Day in, day out, minus the days when he either went on his own when he was younger to Victoria to go visit his mother for her once-a-year annual birthday party, or Joan. And then when Joan moved over here, then he would still go at least once a year if he could, and I don't think he ever missed one, where Tisha and Shimei took him on the ferry so that he could go and spend time with his family for his mother's annual birthday, because she was coming into her hundreds. He was supposed to go, he disappeared in February. He was supposed to go in July to go see his mother on her 100th birthday. So he was already making plans to go visit. But somewhere in there, all of a sudden the doctor said, you can't talk to Judy or the kids anymore. And therefore, because the doctor said it, that's what you're supposed to do. You're not, we don't recognize your immediate family. We don't even consider them to be your friends. And if we wanted to take the word family and apply it to the court, well, it's got to be blood. Otherwise, it's not family, right? So therefore, the trump card, the nepotism. Why then allow nepotism and union seniority? Because we're not just dealing with family. We're dealing with somebody that's been working within the healthcare system for a long, long, long time, people. And she knows what she's doing. And because she's a leader of the pack, she's educating all the up-and-coming nurses throughout the ranks to carry on with the illegal detainments of the vulnerable for their assets as they cherry pick and choose who they think they can get away with it. And Uncle John was just a bone. I don't know how I'm going to say this in a court setting without getting passionate about it. I really don't. Because as soon as you show any kind of passion towards these people that seem to be dead in the soul or something, you know, you become the enemy of the state, right? And they're already trying to gaslight me because they damn well know that I'm being gang stalked. They know about the city. They know about MCFD. They know about GMOI, get off my internet. Right? They know. So this here, writing it down in this way and then mocking it by saying we don't deal with family or friends. We just speak on the patient's behalf, which at the end of the day was, don't talk to Judy. You know, she might confuse you even though you're confused while you're with us. Like it's fucking Alice in Wonderland. Literally. Why then allow nepotism and union seniority to override provincial rules, regulations, mandates, and federal law? Stick to the facts. So, because I didn't follow the rules, people, and I'm a little late on the game because I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing, I had a short window of opportunity to hand in the correct paperwork in order to have something sitting in front of the judge, these lawyers and myself, so that I can say, here, it's documented. In terms of, I might have to do a short little mini list here, and if anything, I'll do it for myself because, you know, I need the reference when I'm there defending myself for, I'm sure, for a total of 20 minutes. Right? So that they can save the taxpayers money. Right? That's why they're doing it. That's what they're referencing in here, right? To save the taxpayers money, right? Not to waste the court time. You know, on a very frivolous situation at hand, right? In their eyes. Where, you know, you fill out and you have to have it handed in before the court date, which is the 7th. So I didn't meet that date. So what I'm going to have to do now is after I get off this video, instead of working on what I've been working on when I'm, you know, working on this stuff. Stop it! It's cats making noise. I'm just going to take the Criminal Code of Canada and I'm going to list down these infractions. Just by their number and their title. I'm going to condense what I wrote into one list. And in addition to, I'm going to add in the Power of Attorney Act, the Mental Health Act, the Bank Act, the Community Living Act, the Rules and Regulations, right? The Property Act, right? And those other ones that I just read to you, which all fall under that pay-as-you-go service, which John didn't want. And maybe if they weren't giving him opiates, he could have actually got up out of that wheelchair and walked. Versus, I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know what's wrong with me. Well, I know what was wrong with you now. I didn't know then. But I do now. And then, oh yeah, they're trying to suggest that, but before I move on to that, let's finish this one. So nepotism and union seniority, right? And family, the blood. They catered to this family. This family got everything that it wanted. In part because of nepotism and union superiority, which Fraser Health Authority doesn't want to investigate. Basically. Because they make too much money with these elderly being illegally detained. So their assets and their homes can be seized through the public guardian and trustee. Okay? I read an article yesterday as I was doing my paperwork for Uncle John. I really should have just highlighted it versus having to backtrack and look for it now. But it was talking about the projection. The projection of old people coming in between now and between now and 2030. Okay? I guess that's when it comes to a head in 2030. Right? For this baby boom. Which is namely Caucasians. As you got an immigrant workforce moving in. You got one going out, one coming in. Right? And, oh my God, the numbers that we have today will, like, more than double by the time we get to 2030. I have to find that article because this is the temptation, people. There's too many vulnerable elderly people out there not speaking out on their behalf, and they're getting sucked up in a system that really just wants to protect the status quo. Right? I work on a non-profit. Let this be a reminder. I do this for the public. I don't get paid for this, okay? As if I enjoy doing this shit, right? I get kids mad at me because I spend time on this shit. Because my brain wasn't beat down when I was young like my kids in terms of just give up and stop trying. Fuck no. No. This is exactly what they did. They brought in nepotism and the union seniority, and they threw in the family card, and they thought they could get away with it as this individual educates her coworkers to do the same thing. So between now and 2030, you're going to have tens of thousands of old people being bamboozled for their homes and their assets. As innocent families will be criminalized like mine to justify illegal actions that can be easily and quickly thrown out of court based on not following the rules. So, since I only got 20 minutes to talk to the judge, I figure I might as well just start rattling off the nitty-gritty, heavy-duty, this is what you tell me how to write this stuff down. You tell me how I write this stuff down to make you realize that this is what you're dealing with and you need to deal with it properly. And the only way you're going to deal with it properly is going through the freaking list without gaslighting for what it is, right? And owning up to rogue employees that need to be reprimanded for the integrity of the corporation, since you represent the corporation. You sure the hell don't represent the people, so you can't take down my videos. I work on a public nonprofit. If this helps somebody to go out there and file their own lawsuit against individuals or corporations that do them great harm, then great. I've helped somebody. I've done my job. Right? But this wordplay, just to avoid reality in terms of bank fraud, right? Fucking mail fraud, right? Conspiracy, illegal detainment. This is why I'm going to write it down, so that I can name off 20 of them at one time and not get stuck on the ramifications around of what it's doing to people and their lives. What they're going to do for me when I show up and I end up in their clutches? They're going to be telling my kids that they represent me, the patient, because I'm in their hospital? How are they going to treat me when I end up in the hospital? That's a good question. Look how they're treating my family. Look how they've been treating John. Because of nepotism, union seniority, and so-called family. Which card was it? Was it nepotism? Was it union seniority? Or was it fucking the family card? Which one was the Trump card? Or the doctor? Was it the doctor who said, you're never allowed to talk to Judy again because she makes you ill at 75 years old, even though you've had a hard fucking life and almost died 5 times since before you even came to meet her? Only reason he lived so long is because he was with us. If he wouldn't have been with us, he would have died a long time ago, people. But they don't want to hear that part, right? Because in those days, I was just popping all this medication, making him fall. Right? Want to jump off a freaking bridge. He was so depressed, taking this medication. Once he got off the medication, he liked to keep up with the pack. He kept up with the kids. He was always there for us, every single day. A man just doesn't turn his back on that. Anyway, let's go on to another one. Because I'm choked. Seriously. My daughter says, oh, this is why you need to just let it go. You're mad. All time mad. It's costing us money. It's not costing you anything. What are you eating? What the hell is it costing you? Nothing. Right? I got it covered for when I die. I warned my middle daughter today, when I die, my life insurance policy goes to retain a lawyer for a wrongful death suit. In addition to following up on what I couldn't do. Right? It's worth a shot. I'd rather that than have my money to go CIBC Bank for a $20,000 fucking credit card that just keeps revolving at $20,000 plus $350 a month in interest every month for, eternity. Forever. right, as my punishment for talking to John. Even though I'm the one that probably, and I can almost guarantee you, still have legal enduring power of attorney over that account that they locked me out of because of what? Nepotism, union seniority, or family? Which one was it, people? Or the doctor? Don't talk to Judy no more. You've only had enduring power of attorney for 25 years, but not no more, John. Here, go take another pill and go to sleep. Okay, we'll just take number 26. Do you see how I read? And this is the way it's going to be in court. The deficiencies with the plaintiff's pleadings cannot be remedied by further amendment. The plaintiff has already been afforded an opportunity to amend her pleadings and has failed to make the pleadings any more comprehensible or to raise legitimate claims. They downplay everything, people. But yet, when it comes my time to be in their clutches, they'll be telling my kids that they're representing me as the patient, unless, of course, they toss me out like they do with a lot of the rest of the homeless poor people out there. You don't even have to be homeless. Just poor. Right? Just toss you out. Right? Mr. Duncan should have been appointed a lawyer under the Mental Health Act, but Fraser Health Authority knew they could discriminate against his immediate family and that they could use opiates to illegally detain Mr. Duncan so that they could do as they please. So this amendment that they allowed me to do follows under the book in terms of court rules. You're allowed one freebie. That's what the freebie was. The freebie was that you had the chance to amend it once, and after that the judge can throw it out if the judge so chooses to do so. And Fraser Health is obviously using gaslighting when they make reference to children in care, right? Because they know MCFD has been around recently, right? Like I said, my file is already flagged, right? They probably see me as one of the candidates that would qualify under their code white system in terms of where the patient is being aggressive and therefore should be restrained, right? To protect the nurse. To protect the nurse. That's what code white is a protocol for nurses to build in, and then write it down that they were in danger even though they were acting out for another reason in terms of what they've done with us and Uncle John, right? Call security! Call security! John's acquaintances just showed up from Vancouver. Quick, call security. He's not allowed to talk to them, right? He's not allowed visitors. This is a private matter. John is under protective custody. Quick, call security. Get those teenagers and those young adults out of here. They're a danger to society. But here, let me inoculate them the next time the government says, oh, it's time for your shot. Really? Because this woman is in charge of an immunization program, people! For the province! Through her network of nursing. Right? And if she can do this to her own brother and to innocent children, and grandchildren coming up in the ranks with this, oh, who is Uncle John? What's this big mystery about Uncle John? Ooh, Uncle John has skeletons in his closet. He stuck around for 23 years and then just suddenly disappeared. You tell me why my grandson should have to grow up like that and then think about that as a man still wondering who the fuck Uncle John was. Right? As my kids sit there and say, oh, well, he was this wonderful man who was with us for forever and ever and ever. And then one day he got sick and he went into a hospital, and within 43 days he just suddenly disappeared, and he hated us from that point forward and never wanted to talk to us again. And yeah, drove my mother to the grave. That's why your grandma's dead today, because it drove her to the fucking grave. But we still don't know where Uncle John is. We just remember we had one. We just remember we had one. Right? Let's find another one here. It all starts to look the same. I'll probably just start crying. But that's okay. I'll cry and read through it. Snot running down my nose and all. I'll make sure I dress appropriate for it, and then wipe it on my pants. That was just a joke. Oh, what are those jokes called? Where they're just stupid jokes, right? They don't make any sense. Okay, here's another one. Gaslighting again. The tobacco, because they know I smoke, right? And God forbid, you're an old dinosaur if you smoke these days, right? Nobody likes you because you're a smoker, even though back in the day everybody was a smoker. I like how things have reversed, right? Okay, so, let's see. Under rule. Okay. Under rule 9.5, parentheses 1A, they're allowed to list that under their rules, but I'm not allowed to list that under my Criminal Code of Canada. And all those other rules, mandates with the... I like how they ignore all that, but I'm not supposed to ignore theirs. A claim will be struck if it is plain and obvious. Assuming the facts plead to be true, that the pleading discloses no reasonable cause of action and has no reasonable prospect of success. And they took this R versus Imperial Tobacco. Gaslighting again, because like I said, they know I smoke, right? But this right here, we don't know what the court case was about. R versus Imperial Tobacco. Who's R? We know it has to do with tobacco, but we don't know what it was about, other than a claim. You got cancer because of the cigarettes. Well, no, you didn't. You got cancer because it's in your gene pool. Prove it. Nobody can prove it, although it's been proven that tobacco puts people at a higher risk for lung cancer versus people who have never smoked. But that's not to say that people who have never smoked or even grown up in smoking environments, they will develop cancer. So these women that have breast cancer, based on the statistics of smokers and non-smokers, in terms of, there's more non-smokers and less smokers versus years ago it was more smokers. Like Uncle John would tell you, in those days everybody would be hanging over the Safeway meat with the cigarette hanging out of the mouth. I remember going to the doctor's office, sitting in the waiting room as people smoked and used those tall ashtrays, right, on the stand, and then would go see the doctor. I remember those days. So for me, smoking is natural, right? But in this case, we don't know what it was about, other than I personally think they're trying to gaslight me, and a claim will be struck if it is plain and obvious. Well, what was plain and obvious? They're not even explaining what was plain and obvious in this court case, assuming the facts pleaded to be true, and that the pleading discloses no reasonable cause of action and has no reasonable prospect of success. So, okay, getting back to what I first wanted to say before I started rattling off with this crap, right? So when I sat down and I really should finish and read the comment on that one, which brings me to what I want to say. Being prosecuted before a trial for the purpose to avoid a trial, so that true facts can be established to settle all matters regarding FHA breaking the law, in conclusion with the banking system. That's my response to that little section that I just read to you. Right? We need a trial. We need to discuss it. When you're dealing with stuff like this, you have to discuss it. You can't just assume that it didn't fucking happen because you can hide behind a rule, right? Because it wasn't filed in the correct manner that falls under the rule book. I am not doing this on purpose in terms of not following it by the rule book. I'm just doing. And the longer they stall for time, the longer it's going to take to settle the matter, which is a waste of the court's time, in my opinion. Because I'm not going to stop, right? And my middle daughter's mad at me because I won't. Oh, you're just wasting your money, wasting your time. You're just mad. You know, when I call her and like, help me, I need help typing out document list. I've been asking, but psychologically, she's been damaged. It first started with Andre going missing. And then we get Andre back, but the damage had already been put there at an early age in terms of brain development. And then it happens again within less than a year and a half of Andre coming home. Like, seriously. So she doesn't like to help. But at the end of the day, I don't want that sitting around the table. Well, who was Uncle John? Was he a nice man or was he a dirty old man? Which one was it? Seriously. Does Fraser Health really want to take it there? Which one was it? Was he a nice man or was he a dirty old man that eventually just listened to the doctor and just wouldn't talk to Judy anymore? Or was it the nepotism? Or the union seniority? Which one? Which was the trump card? The family? The family that ignored John all those years? The only reason John's seen that family is because he took a bus to Victoria. Never them coming to Vancouver. Him going there. And again, if need be, my kids would take him as he aged so that he got there safely. And he returned home safely so that he could do it again. Unlike this, whatever happened with Uncle John just disappeared. And you're not allowed to talk to none of them anymore. 7 people, wipe them off the planet of the earth. Doesn't that sound familiar when I go talk about my videos with my grandson? Just wipe Nana off to a face of the earth. Wipe away your aunts and your uncles. Just forget it. You never had them, Andre. Same thing with Uncle John. Forget it. You never had them, John. So, after I started doing this, now I'm going to come to the end of this video. It's getting too long, right? I'm just ranting here, right? And, you know, I went through it all. I can show you. I have no problem. Oh, see? See, this is why you want to know how to write. Because it goes faster. See, you can write small. See, you can put it all over the place. That's what I did. That's what I'm going to show up in court with. It's my way. Right? I'm probably doing it wrong. Do you see? But that's the way I did it. And as I'm doing it, people, all I could think about was being prosecuted, punished, the whole 9 yards. Before I even got in front of court. I'm going there to be prosecuted. I am fighting. Like they are defaming me again. That's what they're doing. They're humiliating me again. Right? They're trying to, they're trying to humiliate everything and anything that I represent. Right? Because they protect the patient. Based on what a doctor says. They basically put the onus on the doctor. That's, if you want to look at it that way now that I've had time to think about it. It's the doctor's fault that John just disappeared to Victoria and was basically never heard from again because nobody picked up the phone and dialed the numbers for him so he could phone. That's the only reason he never phoned, people, because no one on that end would allow him to phone. And based on their, whatever it is they're trying to do here, it was the doctor's decision for that to happen. So I should really point that out, right? But other than that, when I sat here and I started, I answered something here for everything. Just get out a few of them. And basically, it's just trying to throw it out because I didn't follow mostly rules, right? And I didn't, I wasn't concise. I didn't write 5 paragraphs explaining my court case, or at best 5 pages explaining my court case. I didn't know how to write what they want me to write in 5 pages because it's too complicated and it's too encompassing, and it requires attention. Not, oh, well, no, this is much deeper than that. This is like, I don't know. There's a reason for this book, right? And there's a reason why we have rules and regulations and all that other stuff. And if the doctor was going to make that decision, that life-altering decision for John for the rest of his life in terms of you're not allowed to talk to Judy and the kids no more, based on what they're trying to say in terms of they have the higher right and they've already considered John to be childlike because of his state of being confused, even though they don't want it to go to court to have it shown that they were giving him opiates that made him confused. They don't want it to go to that point. They just want to throw it out as they continue to humiliate my family and myself, knowing that it will probably put me in an early grave. Which, scares my kids, right? So they have created themselves a little mini trial. They have created this is what they've done. They've created a mini 90-minute trial in front of a judge. They can't do this in front of a master. They have to do it in front of a judge. So they're going to convince the judge within 90 minutes that this should be thrown out based on doctors' decisions and something that happened within a litigation between, a person and a tobacco company, but nothing in specific, right? Nothing. It's the idea that they put it's suggestively in there, right? And that, court rules weren't followed, and that I was incoherent, didn't make any sense, and that everything that was being said was frivolous and, and not applicable to them. And so therefore, I'm guilty and should be, I guess, they've already prosecuted me, and then I become guilty, and then I get charged for my crime. That's what will happen. I'll get charged for my crime. So I feel like I'm defending myself against that. I feel like it's just a distraction to get away from what really needs to be dealt with in terms of rooting out criminal activity within a public institution that is there supposedly to protect the public and the public's best interest. And it's not in the public's best interest to have doctors tell old people not to talk to the people that they love. But since we're dealing with a soulless entity that's dark and hateful and just sinister and closed, just living in its own fucking rotten bubble, they don't care about love. All right? It's apparent. I don't know, I just, yeah. I guess I'm the mouse and they're the cat. And therefore, there goes that, that love. Because every cat likes a mouse. How about that?